Morning everyone. So thank you for joining us today. Today we're going to be going over nouns and the different kinds of nouns. Everyone who is watching, if you have any comments or questions during the session, please just leave a comment and then I'll get to them at the end of the session. So let's just start off with nouns. What are nouns? So it's really important to remember every part of speech has a job. Okay, so we've spoken about adverbs before and we've spoken about adjectives. They all have jobs. Okay, adjectives' job is to describe nouns. Adverbs' job is to describe verbs. A noun's job is to name something. So that's all they do. They name things. So because there are a lot of different types of things to name, nouns are broken up into four main categories. These are common nouns, proper nouns, collective nouns, and abstract nouns. And these are the four types of nouns that we are going to go over today. So let's jump right into it. First one, easiest one to remember, are common nouns. Okay, so common nouns they name things. Now, they don't name specific things, they name general things. These are things that you can see, touch, taste, if it has a taste, okay, smell. So these are everyday, ordinary objects. If it is a general item, it is a common noun. So for example, a pen or a pencil or a chair or a person, boy, girl, man, woman. These are all common nouns. They have name objects, general things. Think about your five senses when you think about common nouns. So anything that you can touch. Oh, that's a bit too small. So anything that you can touch, so you can see, touch, taste if you feel like tasting it. Okay, those are the type of things that are common nouns. The way I also like to remember it is if I have a big enough box, if I can put it in a box, it is a common noun. Okay, so for example, these are things like I said, like a pen or a chair or a person. So our examples could be like a pen, chair, okay, boy, girl. These are all different kinds of common nouns. They name the general things. Now, let's have a look at proper nouns. Now, proper nouns are similar to common nouns in that they name things. This is their job, but they name specific things. So, for example, you may have a cat. Cat is my common noun. It names the general thing. Proper noun would be the name that you've given your cat. So, if you've named your cat Bob, Bob is a proper noun. Okay, this is naming a specific person, place, or thing. So, proper nouns are about being very specific. Okay, so they name that individual person, place, or thing. That is what they do. So you may have a building, building being your common noun, but the name of the building could be the Empire State Building. You could have a school, school being your common noun, but if you're going to name a specific school, you could say Faramir Primary School. That is a proper noun. Something really important to remember about proper nouns is that a proper noun is not always just individual words. If I have more than one word in a proper noun, so if I say the name of a building, like the Empire State Building, okay? Okay, now, this whole thing is my proper noun. This is the first thing to notice. Empire State Building. The whole name of that specific thing is one proper noun. It's not three individual proper nouns, it's one big one. Just like your name is not three individual proper nouns, it's one proper noun. Another important rule to remember about proper nouns is that they always start with capital letters. So they're very specific and they always have capital letters. Okay, this is important to remember because if you have to identify a proper noun in a test or a text or something, okay, then it's easy to notice which one's the proper noun because they always start with a capital letter. If you have a proper noun like Empire State Building, which has more than one word, every single word will start with a capital letter. Okay, so those are proper nouns. So you have common nouns, which are your common, ordinary, everyday things, things you can touch, see, taste. Then you have proper nouns, which are more specific things. Always start with capital letters, and if it's got more than one word in it, the whole thing is the proper noun. Okay, now, next we have collective nouns. Collective nouns are names that we give to groups of things. So it's important to notice that collective nouns are for groups of things. Okay, so if I say, for example, a herd of elephants, or if I say a gaggle of geese, these are collective nouns. These are the names we give to a group. Easy enough to remember. So you could have a pride of lions, for example. Okay, or a gaggle of geese, or a choir of singers, or a troop of dancers. These are all collective nouns. Once again, very similar to proper nouns. What you need to remember with collective nouns is that the whole thing is the collective nouns. The word pride is not a collective noun. Pride of lions. The whole thing is your collective noun, naming that group. Just like gaggle of geese, gaggle is not a collective noun on its own. But gaggle of geese, the whole thing is your collective noun. Okay, now, next group are abstract nouns. Now, abstract nouns, it's easy. You need to remember that abstract nouns, once again, are naming things. But common nouns name things that you can pick up, things that you can see, touch. Abstract nouns name things that you cannot see or touch with your hands or your eyes. They name things, the way you usually explain it is they name things that you can feel, things that you can't see, abstract concepts. Okay, so these are more about feelings on the inside. Okay, so these are more about inside feelings, things that you feel on the inside. Things like love. You cannot see love. You cannot pick it up. You cannot touch it. You can hug someone that you love, but you cannot actually pick up love itself. It is an abstract concept. It's something that you cannot see with your eyes. You can see the effects of abstract nouns, but you cannot actually see the abstract noun. So these are things that you feel inside. These are usually emotions like happiness, okay, or love, or anger. Okay, so these are things that you feel on the inside. I can see the effects of happiness when somebody laughs. Somebody is laughing because they're happy. I'm not seeing happiness, I'm seeing the effects of happiness. Okay, same with anger. When somebody gets angry, they might shout or scream or try to hit something. Those are the effects of their anger, but you cannot actually see their anger. Now, abstract nouns are not just limited to emotions. They are also things that, qualities that people can have, which you can't see the actual quality. So a quality that somebody could have could be to be tall, for example. Okay, but I can see that they're tall. But another quality that they could have is they could be loyal. Loyalty is an abstract noun. Okay, so loyalty is an abstract noun. So abstract nouns are also things that you don't always see them, but they're concepts that we adhere to or things that we feel on the inside. Those are abstract nouns. So let's just recap over this. These four main groups. So remembering that nouns name things. Okay? Everything that is given a name, not a description, but an actual name, that is a noun. So our common nouns were things that we could see, touch, taste. These were things like a pen or a chair or a boy or a girl. These were general names that we give to general things. Proper nouns are names for a specific person, place, or thing. So we could have a building, but the specific name of a specific building might be the Empire State Building. It's also good to remember that proper nouns always start with capital letters. Then we went over collective nouns. Now, collective nouns are for groups of things. They're the names that you give a group of animals, people, things. A deck of cards, collective noun. So if it's the name for a group, it's a collective noun. The last one we went through were abstract nouns. Now, these are feelings or things that you cannot actually touch or pick up, but that you can feel. So you can feel love, happiness, anger. You can't see them or touch them, but you can feel them on the inside. These also apply to things like loyalty, hope, these concepts that you don't actually have something that you can touch for it, but it is a concept that we feel. These are the main groups of nouns that you would need to know. Okay, so usually in school, these are the nouns that you'll get asked about. Now, there are three other things that I want to go through regarding nouns. These are not always asked, but you will often see the names in textbooks and maybe asked about them. So I want to go through them just so that you understand what is going on. So the first one is a name of a type of noun that you come across, but people don't generally use because it tends to confuse people. And this is what they call a concrete noun. Okay, now, a concrete noun is just a really fancy way of saying the nouns that you can touch. Okay, if it's something that you can actually touch, pick up, see with your eyes, it is a concrete noun. So, concrete nouns are the name given to, if I had to split up the four types of nouns that I went through now, concrete nouns would include common nouns. Okay, it would also include proper nouns, and it would include collective nouns. Okay, so concrete nouns are any nouns that are common, proper, or collective, because these are things that you can see and touch. A chair is a concrete noun because I can touch it, I can see it. A cat, a pen, a dog, a person. I can touch those things. Proper noun, even though it's naming a specific thing, it is still a concrete noun because I can see it and I can touch it. Okay, that specific person, okay, Jane or whoever they are, their proper noun, their name might be Jane, but there's still a person that you can touch. It's still a concrete noun. Collective nouns, pride of lions. You may not want to go touch the pride of lions. I'm not advising you to do that. Very bad idea. But it's something that you could actually see and touch. It is a concrete noun. The only noun that is not a concrete noun are abstract nouns. So if you had to divide nouns into two groups, you would say that you get collective nouns as one group. Collective nouns include common, proper, and collective. And into another group, which is abstract nouns. Abstract nouns being things that you cannot see or touch. Okay? Feelings like happiness, love, sadness, these are abstract nouns. That is what concrete nouns are. So people don't often use the term concrete nouns. So if you're actually doing English, you might hear your teacher mention concrete nouns, but they never go into detail about it. I haven't actually used this term when explaining it because as a teacher, I've never used this term when explaining it because it's a bit confusing and it doesn't help. Nobody in a test is going to go, what is a concrete noun? Because it's basically all three of those things are concrete nouns. They're things that you can touch. So this is just some extra information so that you understand if you come across this term, but you shouldn't come across this term in much detail until you get to high school. Okay, now the next thing I want to go over regarding nouns are countable and uncountable nouns. Okay, so you get types of nouns called countable, okay, and uncountable. Now, this sounds really weird because if I'm looking at nouns, I can count pretty much all nouns except for abstract nouns. If I have a whole lot of buildings, whether they have names or not, I can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Not really what countable and uncountable nouns are. Countable and uncountable nouns are nouns that either the word changes when there is more than one, or they do not change. So for example, a word like pens. If I have one pen, but I can also have 2 pens. The moment I have more than one, my word here has changed. So instead of staying the same, I've now had to add the S. Okay? So the moment I see that there's an S at the end of pens, I know that it means more than one. Even if I have a sentence like the pens, the moment I see the S, I know that there are more than one. Okay? So this can apply to a whole lot of different words. The majority of nouns are countable. Okay? So for example, if I have one person, but I could have many people. Okay, this is still, the word changes. So I know that it is countable now. And the moment I see this word, I know that there is more than one. The moment I see this, I know there is one. That is what a countable noun is. Countable nouns are done like that. The moment you see that word, even if there's no number in front of it, you know that there is more than one. That is what a countable noun is. Now, uncountable nouns are nouns that just by looking at the word, you don't know how many there are because they do not change. So for example, if I look at the word sheep, so I could have one sheep, but I can also have 3 sheep. I do not say 3 sheeps with an S at the end. The word doesn't change. So whether it's 1 or 3 or 1,000, the word sheep stays the same. That is an uncountable noun. Just by looking at the word, you don't know if it's referring to one or to many. These words are the type of words where you have to look at the words around it to kind of help you understand how many there are. So for example, if I say in a sentence, a sheep is grazing in the field, the word a tells me that it is one. But if I say the sheep are grazing in the field, I will assume that it is more than one, judging by the word the. Okay? Other examples of uncountable nouns, a word like fish, one fish, many fish. Okay? So uncountable nouns, you cannot tell by the word. They do not change when it goes from one to many. So that is countable and uncountable nouns. Right. Really important to remember with uncountable nouns that you need to look at the words around it so that you understand how many there are. Countable nouns, just by looking at the word, you can tell straight away how many there are, if there's one or more than one. Okay, so that was countable and uncountable nouns. Now, the reason I wanted to go through countable and uncountable nouns is because you do get told about it when, especially in primary school, grade 4 and 5, your teachers will tell you about countable and uncountable nouns, but they don't really test you on it. You're just expected to, it's one of those things in English where I wouldn't say one sheep and many sheeps. The moment I say it, it sounds funny. You need to learn it through using the English language. You only really learn those terms countable and uncountable. Like I said, they mention them in 4 and 5, and as you get into the higher grades, they'll start actually explaining in more detail exactly what they are. You need to understand the basic of nouns before they will kind of tell you countable and uncountable. So if we have a look at everything that we've gone through today on nouns, So let's just go through. I'm going to include concrete and uncountable and countable nouns when I'm re-explaining everything, just so that you get a good overview. If I have nouns, let's make a pretty flow chart. So if I have nouns, nouns can be separated into two sections. First section, you have concrete nouns. Okay, remember, concrete nouns encompass common nouns, okay, they also include proper nouns, and they include collective nouns. Okay, remembering that common nouns are the names that we give to general people, places, things. Chair, pen, cat, dog, boy, girl, man, common nouns. Proper nouns are the names we give to specific people, places, or things. Empire State Building, Union Buildings, Bob the Builder. These are all proper nouns. Collective nouns are the names we give to groups of things, or people, or animals. Herd of cattle, deck of cards, choir of angels, these are all collective nouns. All three of these are what we call concrete nouns. They are things that we can touch and see. They have physical form. Then we have abstract nouns. Okay. Abstract nouns are things that we cannot see, touch, feel. Okay? Not physically. We feel them on the inside. Things like love, sadness, anger. These are all abstract nouns. They do not have a physical form that we can touch, but you feel them on the inside. Then the last one comes from common nouns. Common nouns can be split into countable and uncountable. Okay. Remember, countable nouns, just by looking at the noun, you can tell if there's one or more. If I say, look at all the pens, pens with an S on the end, you know that it has more than one. If I say pen without the S, then I know that it is one. Uncountable nouns are words that do not change if there's one or more. Words like sheep. One sheep, many sheep, the word stays the same. So, this was our sum of nouns for today. I hope that you found it informative. If you do have any questions, I'll take a look now and see if there are any. If not, I'm glad you all understand everything. Thank you so much for watching today. I hope that you really did enjoy it and that it made sense. If there's anything in specific you would like me to go over, please just send us a message or post a comment. Please tune back in tomorrow. We are going to be going over simple tense, which has to do with verbs, and I will explain it tomorrow when you all join in. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.